Welcome to Life After the Fire, the preeminent podcast for everything to deal with having a great and amazing life after the fire service. My name is Chris Phelps. I'm your host. I'm joined today with a good friend of mine, Peter Codispoti. Squattapati? Codispoti.
Codispoti.
Said that right?
Yes.
I should know that, right?
You nailed it. Nailed it like I expected.
So Pete and I have been friends for a good while, since like the mid-late 90s.
When you had hair.
That. When I had hair.
Had hair.
Yeah, and his wasn't half as gray. He had more of it as well. But we worked in neighboring fire departments, took some classes together, got to know one another. And so one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on today was because of what you have done leading up to retirement and now since retirement. So give us just like a quick high level view of what
you want
what you've been doing and where,
from the beginning,
how it all started.
So
back from being the Cato Kalin, living in somebody's basement.
So what we do now is we manage property in Palm Beach, and we're in construction. So how it started was
construction.
Well, no, it's real
sanitation.
Yeah,
no, it's just construction.
Right. So kind of the way it started is, I put an ad in the paper, in the shiny sheet, Palm Beach's shiny sheet. It's just their paper is just made of a different material, but it's just white and not yellowish. So I heard from one of the cops there, they put an ad in talking about, you can live on property and not pay rent. And they were kind of house sitting. I was like, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not paying rent, not doing any of that. So I did that and got a call. And then I lived there, and I was working at Home Depot and other jobs and stuff like that. So this was a nice way to get
so
going.
you were new on the department.
I was probably about 3-ish, 4-ish years there.
So, and prior to house sitting, if you will, or caretaker, right. Being the caretaker, where were you living? Just like renting an apartment?
Right, renting.
Okay.
I lived down in Plantation because that's kind of how I got into the fire service. I started volunteering
right
down in Plantation, and they said, "Hey, you can do this."
Cool.
Like,
so you found a way to get basically like subsidized housing, if you will, free place to stay in return for the work you were doing on your days off.
Correct. And
what kind of stuff were you doing for that?
My responsibilities were the pool, which I didn't know a thing about a pool, and putting the shutters up when hurricanes came, because like a lot of houses in Palm Beach, they're seasonal.
Right.
So they're 6 months here, 6 months somewhere else, and then the house is by itself. And it was a pretty big house up on the north end near the old Kennedy estate.
Right. And then we wound up connecting through, I think we were taking a class together. And
we were taking all that not the hazmat stuff, but like
instruction,
special ops and all that kind of
all that stuff. But
South Tech.
But I remember you were telling me about this, and I was like, man, I should do something like that. And
and you put an ad in, and
I put an ad in, and
they didn't like the accommodation. It was a smaller place than I had, and then the person said to you, "Do you know a handyman?"
Yeah.
And you gave him my number, and that's kind of how it all started. And
then so you owe me something.
Yeah, I should put you in. So and then I started taking care of the neighbor. And then some houses sold, and I met realtors, and they're like, "Oh,
so it just blossomed from there."
Yeah, they're like, "You're a fireman? Oh, that's great. Who better to take care of something than somebody who's been vetted pretty much by the town at that time."
Right. So you had public trust. Right. So there was an implied level of of trust with you from anybody that you dealt with.
Correct. And then it just, I started meeting people, getting more houses, and then had to go legit, get a name,
Yeah.
and get all that
Grow
going.
from there. Delegate.
Right. Well, for a long time, I just kind of grew. I never, still to this day, we don't advertise. Just never advertise. We have a website, word of mouth kind of thing, but
yeah,
it's the relationships that you've made over time, and that's kind of where we're at now.
Where it's blossomed.
Correct.
Okay. So good stuff. Now, how did you have natural ability to be a handyman and do all this stuff, or did you farm everything out?
I'd say a little bit of both. From working, I had my own landscape company at one time when I was starting off as a fireman. Then I worked at Home Depot or worked at Builders Square. So it was
you
pretty
acquired
handy.
some skills.
Right. It was pretty handy. I had done some construction and some other things. And then from the fire service, we get really good at demo.
That's my favorite part of the job.
It's the putting it back together properly thing that is that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Anybody can break something.
Yeah.
But it's breaking it and putting it back together the way you found it.
Okay. Cool. So I guess like fast forward to now. I mean, I know a little bit, but like how many properties are you managing?
We're
now?
about 65 to 70 properties.
65, 70 properties.
And we're about
on the management side. And then at some point you expanded the services that you offered.
Right. Yeah. So in about 2014, one of my best friends, John, who's a contractor, the GC, general contractor. So he came in, made him a partner, and he brings that whole GC license with him, and so we were able to take on more things. When I first started, we did a lot of subbing out. You're kind of there, you open the door, you let people in, but he was more skilled. We were able to do things better, and the people you hire, like the fire service, you surround yourself with people who know more.
Yeah.
Supposed to. And or should. And then that really kind of blew up because he brought a lot of talent.
Right.
And I don't, like I said, I know how to break stuff.
Yeah.
He knows how to build stuff.
So you have two divisions. You have the break stuff division and the build stuff division.
He manages now more of the construction aspect of it, and I'm more on the maintenance, recurring kind of problem thing. So I'm Italian. I don't have an Italian microphone.
I know. It's hard to not talk with my hands.
Right. So he definitely brings, that aspect to it. So and now I find myself dealing with I call myself the unicorn hunter. Because I get these little things like, can you find this particular
widget?
Yeah, it's painful. But no, it's I like it because it's like the fire service in a way where you're not doing the same thing every day.
Right.
And
it's service oriented.
Right. Well,
so
I mean,
you're helping people.
Right. I think a lot of the benefits or the attributes that are helpful are a lot of firemen are type A. They have some level of OCD to themselves. Right. They like things in a certain way.
Some of us have obesity.
Ooh. You sit around the table.
Yeah.
So that helps, you know. In the fire service, we're really good with policies, procedures, following guidelines, and doing things a certain way.
Right.
We necessarily don't like to read instructions, but we can follow. And that is helpful. And I see a lot of the customers like that. Punctuality.
Right. Do what you say you're going to do. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it sounds silly, but you tell somebody you're going to be there at 3 o'clock, and you actually show up at 3 o'clock, or or in this case, you tell somebody to be there at 11:30, and they show up at 10:30.
Well, I had an an interview from one of my customers. He's since passed, but Mr. Asplund and of the tree, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. Knock on the door. He called me because he got me through his realtor,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Be here at 10 o'clock." He's like, "We're renting this cottage until we buy a house," and so 10 o'clock. I'm knocking on the door at like 9:58, 9:57. I'll never forget. He gets to the door on time. I'm like, I don't know any other way to be. It's either we're early,
Yeah.
15 minutes early is on time.
Right. On
Kinda,
time is late.
right.
Yep.
I was an hour early. So, yeah. So the attributes that we bring as firemen or ex-fire, I don't even know. Consider
Washed up.
Yeah,
Washed
firemen.
up fireman.
So those are helpful things.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels. So like when I look at my business in the mortgage business now, and people think, oh, wow, that's such an odd transition, and it's like, well, it really isn't. It's helping people business. It's service oriented. It's finding people that are in one place and they want to get to another place, and how to navigate the nooks and crannies, and and jump through the hoops and the hurdles and all that stuff to get them there. And it's there's a lot of parallels between the fire service, the mortgage industry, a lot of parallels between the fire service and property management.
Well, it's also relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and I had another customer tell me, he's like, "You get shit done."
Mm-hmm.
Kind of GSD.
Yeah.
You call me, and it's also having the relationships with my vendors,
Yeah.
whether it's an air conditioning company, electrician.
It's all good. We'll
Better?
edit that out.
Sweaty.
That's why you see how close it is.
I don't know.
That's all right.
Don't have one of these in my face very often. So I was talking about relationships with my air conditioning company, electricians or plumbers,
Mm-hmm.
that those are the things that we don't know a lot about, or you don't want to touch because your insurance doesn't necessarily cover that.
Right.
I mean, even though we're paying GC level insurance, they still don't want you wiring things and doing all that kind of stuff. So having the relationships that I have over these years, that I'm able to call them directly, whether it's my appliance guy or the electrician or the tech directly,
Right.
and just getting them there in half an hour, 45 minutes. And these people that I work for just love it. They like, my dryer's not working and you got it fixed the same day.
Yeah.
Which is great. So it's building that,
And some of the
cachet of people.
from what I've seen, some of the secret to that and getting those vendors to show up on time and do the work for you. Not only is it the clientele that you're working with, or how often you're working with those vendors, but it's also how you treat those vendors, right? So like when they send you a bill, are they waiting around 30 days to get paid?
No, that's one of the things we try not to do, and is we pay quick.
Yeah.
They are usually, they like to get paid, whereas I don't get paid anywhere between 30 and 45 days. And that's one of those, you deal with some people that are been in business a long time, that are maybe developers somewhere else, and they're like, you're lucky to get paid within 30 to 45 days. They can pay you quicker. But I don't do that, or we don't do that, because they're small businesses or starting up, some of them,
Yeah.
and they need their cash flow. And we've been in business, fortunately, and we have the capital to kind of stay the course,
Right.
which is a good thing.
So, like, if from a vendor perspective, if you're looking at a couple of jobs that have come in, and all right, hey, if I go do this job, I know I'm going to get paid, right away. I'm going to that job first. I'm prioritizing that. But you guys putting yourselves out there to do that, um, that 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 requires some capital backing on your part. So,
Well, having had the fire service as your first job,
mhm,
and you I think you should kind of really, you got to have that willpower to fund things, and not go out and buy that big truck.
yeah,
When you're starting your business, or big boat, um,
mhm,
you reinvest your capital, reinvest into the business. And you know when John came on, we were just gone through an evaluation, um, for the partnership kind of
right,
thing,
business
and
valuation,
business valuation. And having no debt was huge.
mhm,
Only having no vehicle debt, no equipment debt. The only thing that we had reoccurring was an office.
right,
And and even the guy doing the thing, he's like, this is great. You're making money, and you're not spending money in other places you
right,
shouldn't.
yeah,
And that may be, we're using TMS money
right,
to fund projects. And then when it comes back,
mhm,
it's your money. You're not having to pay off. Now we do have recurring revolving for credit cards and employees and all that, but we're very, very careful with,
right,
money comes in, it goes to what it needs to go to.
mhm,
So, and I think just being that way, you know, I'm not saying don't go buy that truck, but maybe, have enough to maybe buy that truck in cash,
right,
and do it the old fashioned way instead of finance everything. And
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
you
because
see
that's
people get in trouble.
it's a big problem. These young kids, they
Whippersnappers.
yeah, they come on the job, and one of the first things they want to do is, they just got this great fire department job. They got this great solid paycheck coming in every 2 weeks or whatever, and they want to run right out and get themselves a $600-800 monthly truck payment. And it's like, I hope you like that truck. Hope you can live in it, because now you can't afford to buy a house. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you probably see it more than
Yeah.
on your side of what you can afford,
Yep.
doing that whole mortgage breakdown thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely run across some folks that made some financial mistakes in their past, and I mean, shit, we all have, um, here and there, but you learn from them, and hopefully you have some good guidance on the job. Some
Don't
people
buy a
that can.
boat, right? Don't,
Don't
yeah,
buy a
don't
boat,
don't
right? Boat
get
is
friends.
a yeah, get a friend with a boat, right? So I'm the
That's
friend
what
with the
I
boat.
did. No, definitely got advice early on from guys you may interview one day, but
Yeah.
they told me, invest, or the ICMA. I don't know what other departments may call that.
Right. So, like, what
Like
you're,
a
what you're talking about is like a additional retirement savings. So, like a deferred comp
correct.
plan,
Put it
something
in
like that. Something
early.
that can go in like pre-tax. So it's your money being, going away pre-tax, that, you can use after retirement.
Correct. And a lot of the guys, you did a lot of your learning on the job, but also a lot of learning around the table, the
Yep.
kitchen table. And guys that had other businesses and work ethic also learned a lot of that. And I learned that from my customers, because I have, some of the 1%ers, 1% of one, 0.0% of the 1%ers, that these people are driven, and they
Yeah.
work hard, and they just,
They're
so
not
when you
sitting on their
have their
hands. They're still
attention,
working.
right, you have their attention and they give you you better have the answers.
Yeah.
It's like going into the chief's office. You better know, better respond with the appropriate
Yeah.
kind of back feedback.
Sure.
So, early on, I learned about um, put some extra money away,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll never miss it, which is a good thing. And when you get a raise, put that in, or put a percentage of that in,
Yeah.
and you won't miss it. And those people are right, because before you know it, it's 20 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, where did that go?
What seem like, pennies now, as let's say you're putting away, when you start, let's say you're putting away $100 a month, 20 years later, that's pennies, that you're talking about putting away on a monthly basis, but that over time grows, and it's still, once you get to that 20 or 25-year retirement, it still feels like pennies. It's stuff it's like you said, you don't miss it. You don't miss it coming out every check or monthly, what have you. And but once you get to that age where you can start drawing on it, you'll be thankful.
Well, I started in '89, and I was just happy to get a job. You don't pay attention to a lot of things, some things. And then I remember seeing the date, like when I was eligible to leave, my 20 was, you're seeing 2010, you're like, you don't think I was 21. You weren't thinking about retiring when you're 21.
Yeah.
But when you're 41, I left at 47.
Right.
And
you're still young enough. You've got a whole another life ahead of you. That's like practically middle age, right? 40, 47? Huh?
well, I'm 55 now. Yeah. So no, but it is, you have to, figure out, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I have younger kids. So yeah, some people started pushing the kids out. I thought it was kind of one of those, let's promote
Mm-hmm.
and move up that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to, especially what you want to do, directions you want to go.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, I mean, what I'm hearing and what I've seen is, you took something, started out very small, and over time built it up to now, a multi-million-dollar business that you now have to, someday, build that legacy, maybe pass it on to your son or daughter or what have you, or sell the business off and, get you the motorhome and fishing pole, whatever.
No,
It's
it is.
definitely created a lot of chances for freedom in your life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm definitely bringing John on was a great thing, because you go from being able to do a little bit to being able to do a lot more. So definitely,
Well, they say you have to delegate to elevate, or there's the book The Compound Effect that talks about bringing on staff to where I call it the acts of freedom. So I'll tell you a little story. This is, in my business, in the mortgage business, to take somebody from application to the closing table, there's like about, I don't know, maybe 100 different tasks that happen along the way, right? So starting out small, I might be doing all of those tasks to get somebody from A to Z, right? But if you look at each individual task and say, all right, am I good at doing that? Does that task make me money? Do I like doing it? And you take from that those tasks that you should be doing, and delegate the rest. And that's a way to grow a business, or grow, whatever.
Well, yeah, at first it was always me, and then using part-time firemen to kind of help me when I needed help. And then when John came on, he saw like you have all these houses and it's only you and so many people. We should maybe hire.
Yeah.
And we started hiring people, and then it's a compound effect, kind of like what you're saying, because they're bringing in hourly. So it's you can't be afraid to take on that salary, right? There is a risk for
there,
sure,
sure.
and that you're like, whoa, I got to build
Are
hours.
they gonna do it as good as I would do it? Are they gonna present themselves to the customer the same way I would? Right.
Well, yeah, and there's that span of control.
Yep.
Like on a fire scene, you can only have so many things going on. Same here, because there's only so much you can do right by yourself. So yeah, it's definitely that the fire service always kind of trickles in. But I think one of the biggest things bringing to the customer is also accountability. We're gonna screw up. It's just you have to say it. That's the biggest thing. Being in the private sector for a while now and dealing with people and the excuses you get, you're like, did you just give me some bullshit excuse? Like, I saw your guy do it.
Yeah.
Wow, no. There's no accountability in a lot of these companies, and we try to bring that.
Right.
Like, look, we screwed up. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I apologize. We're going to do better. And that goes a long way.
Sure.
As to making excuses and accountability.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're getting close to that 30-minute mark, which is typically where we like to,
where do you see that?
to finish these up. It's in my head. It's the internal clock. I have this internal clock. I know where we're at. So,
all right.
But we always like to, kind of cap these off with like a call to action. So if somebody is listening and they're like, man, that sounds like Pete's doing some great stuff. I want to do what you did. Where would we send them?
I guess I don't know if I want to give my phone number out.
No.
I do have a website. It's townmanagementservices.com. And then
they can find you from there.
Yeah, they can stalk me from there.
Easy stuff from there. And
no, but it's easy.
Yeah, and there's plenty of obviously the internet. You can get yourself a 4-year degree in a very short period of time, but there's a ton of information out there on the internet about property management and learning these handyman skills. Heck, my kid at 8 years old taught himself how to tie a tie through watching it on YouTube, So, I mean,
is that a clip on?
So, there's plenty of great information out there. If you want to try to get into property management business, it's a great way to get started, or reach out to Pete, Town Management Services, or townmanagementservices.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if you like what you're hearing on our show, like, follow, and share, you can reach out to us at info@latfpodcast.com. That's info@latfpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next one.